Suzanne Waters is the United Australia Party candidate for the seat of Grey. Welcome to Flow.
Thank you, Ricky.
Now, first of all, let's find a bit more about Suzanne Waters. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Okay, I was born and bred in Wudinna in South Australia. I've grown up, spent most of my life on the Eyre Peninsula, have worked in different states, but always come back to Wudinna. My family has a long history here. My great-great-grandfather was George Tramontanis. He was the first Greek settler in South Australia.
Right.
So my family has lived in this region for several generations, and I was married quite a few years ago, and my husband and I have owned several businesses on the Eyre Peninsula, worked around here all our life, and for the last 15 years, I've worked for SA Ambulance. I've been an AMBO. Initially started out as a volunteer and worked my way up to being a trainer and also working on a contract basis, serving the remote communities. And for the last year, I've worked out of Port Augusta Station.
Okay, and in the press material that came out from the United Australia Party, your experience with the paramedics and the ambulance service regarding vaccination seems to have been a catalyst for you to take some interest in political involvement?
That's correct, because we were told on the 31st of August that we had to be double vaxxed to be able to set foot on station. That's something I don't believe we should be forced to do. Everyone should have a choice whether they choose to be vaxxed or not, and I didn't wish to participate in this gene therapy trial.
Gene therapy is this is the mRNA you're referring to, or something more broadly with vaccination?
Yeah, no, the mRNA vaccine, I believe, is a gene therapy trial, which so many people around the world have come out and shown that's exactly what it is.
Yep, and so this has been a line in the sand for you employment-wise. You're no longer employed by the ambulance service?
Correct.
That's
right.
And so now, how did you end up connecting with the United Australia Party? Why have you chosen to get politically involved with them?
I just wanted freedom for my children, sitting at home just thinking, where's this all going to end, this madness? I've seen businesses shut down, people losing businesses, people forced to be vaccinated against their will, under duress, and extremely upset. I've had people just tell me in tears that they were forced to have it to keep their job, to keep food on the table. And I just had watched a few of Craig Kelly's speeches and thought, this sounds like the way to go. These guys are really going to fight for freedom.
Well, did you happen to go down to Canberra for the protests recently?
No, I didn't go to Canberra.
Yeah.
I just joined up the party initially, and then there was a little box there that said, do you want to do more? So I thought, all right, let's see what we can do.
All right, so you're wanting to stand up for the electorate of Grey, which covers the Eyre Peninsula, but also a fair part of the northern part of South Australia, outback as well. You've got some experience in the health sector. Recently, Wudinna itself, I think, has had some challenges with the local GP leaving. What are your views about how we could improve the attraction of health professionals to the regions?
I just think we need to turn the whole state around, or the whole country around. We just notice there's a vast amount of tax money is raised in regional and rural areas, but very little of it is spent back in regional communities. It all goes towards building another stadium in Adelaide. We actually benefit very little out here, and like we've seen, our doctor, the hospital, everything lacks services over here. The doctor's gone. He'd been crying out for help for such a long time. We just get unelected bureaucrats who sit back in offices, probably in the city, and have no idea what happens out here. We've always got the quote that west of Jets Cross, nobody knows we exist.
And I guess the grain sector is one of many in the Eyre Peninsula and West Coast that provides a lot of that economic input into South Australia's economy. You don't believe they've seen any return or a decent return on that investment in the state? Definitely
not. We just don't see services provided out here for our communities. In fact, their idea is, let's close down, let's send everybody to Adelaide, let's make it centralise it over there. I remember going to a medical conference a few years ago in Port Lincoln, and the speaker there mentioned how we seem to have de-skilled our country labour force, and the answer to that is to send everyone to the centre of excellence, otherwise known as Adelaide.
Yeah, and now look, this one's just come up in the last sort of 12 hours or so, this announcement the federal and state government have made for a water project for the north of South Australia. But in effect, they're talking about putting a desalination plant in the upper Spencer Gulf to help the mining industry get the water it needs and not take so much from the Great Artesian Basin. There's been a hot discussion about desal down at Port Lincoln. What are your general views on water security? Is that a reasonable reinvestment back into the electorate of Grey?
It is a reasonable reinvestment, but the trouble with the state governments, it's always been a lot of talk and no action. They've been talking about doing things like this for years, but we never see any results anywhere.
Yeah, I think they've formed this select committee of about 20-something people to decide where they're going to situate the state desalination plant. Do you think they're going to handle the placement of a desal plant for the north of the state any better?
I doubt it. If we look on their past record, I doubt it very much.
And so, as your UAP candidate, you'd be looking to, the Clive Palmer and the Craig Kelly are talking about forming government in Australia. You'd be looking forward to being on the crossbench or even forming government as part of a UAP government?
Absolutely. We just need to turn this country around. Our country's just fallen in such a hole.
All right, well, Suzanne, I'll have to leave it there, but thanks very much for your time today. Appreciate that, and we'll watch your campaign with progress towards what will be a federal election sometime by May.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Ricky.